Hello students, welcome to EduBlossom. We are doing chapter food, where does it come from? And it is included in class 6 syllabus. Let's proceed with second part of this chapter. In part 1 of this chapter, we have studied about different components of food which are known as nutrients. And we discussed various nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, roughage or dietary fibers, and water. We have already discussed all these things. Let's proceed with the detailed discussion about these nutrients one by one. We start with energy-giving foods, which consist of carbohydrates and fats as their main nutrients. What is the role of various nutrients? Carbohydrates mainly give us energy. Similarly, fats also provide us energy. It means all the food items which contain carbohydrates and fats are called energy-giving foods. Let me make it very much clear to you that all food items give us more than one nutrients. So a combination of nutrients are present in different food items. It is not necessary that if we consider one food item as a source of carbohydrate, so it will give us only carbohydrates. No. Along with the carbohydrates, some vitamins, some other minerals may be present in that food item. Similarly, if some food is mainly categorized as fats giving food, maybe along with fat, some other combination of minerals and vitamins may be present. So all the food items, they usually give us more than one nutrients. But when we categorize foods as sources of some nutrient, then we consider the percentage composition of that nutrient present in that food item. So let's start with the sources of carbohydrates first. What are the sources of carbohydrates? From where we can get carbohydrates in our diet? We can get carbohydrates from potatoes and grains like wheat, rice, corn, oats, millets. Similarly, sweet potatoes, different kinds of breads, noodles, pizza, burgers, sugar cane, and table sugar also, which is added in different kinds of food items. Cookies, biscuits, cakes, ice cream, milk, soft drinks or cold drinks, all these things are the sources of carbohydrates. Mainly carbohydrates are provided to us in two forms. In the form of starch, which we get from potatoes or sweet potatoes or from the grains, or in the form of sugars. Let's see how can we test a given food sample for the presence of carbohydrates or starch in it. This is a very simple experiment. Take the given food sample and add iodine solution with the help of a dropper. If food turns bluish-black in color, it indicates the presence of starch in it. We can perform this test directly on a piece of potato also. Like if we take a piece of potato and we add some iodine solution on it with the help of a dropper, it will turn to bluish-black color. So this bluish-black color indicates the presence of starch in it. So it confirms that potatoes contain starch. We can test the presence of starch using test tubes also. If we have a starch solution, we take this starch solution in a test tube. And in this test tube, with the help of a dropper, we add a few drops of iodine solution in it. If color of the solution changes to bluish-black, it indicates the presence of starch here in this food sample. So this is an easy experiment which can be performed easily in the science labs. How can we test the presence of sugar in a given food item? Simple procedure is there. Take the given food sample in a test tube, add a few drops of Benedict solution. This Benedict solution is easily available in all the science labs. Now, hold the test tube with the help of a test tube holder and heat the test tube carefully. Notice the color change, if any. If the color changes to orange color, then it indicates the presence of sugar in the given food item. Let's look at the experimental setup for this experiment. Take the given food sample in a test tube. So we take a test tube and put the given food sample here in this test tube, and with the help of a dropper we add a Benedict solution in it. Now hold this test tube with the help of a test tube holder and heat it over the flame. If its color changes to orange, then it indicates the presence of sugar. So orange color confirms the presence of sugar in the given food item. Now let's discuss about the second energy giving food, that is fats. So what are the sources of fats? Fats can be obtained from milk and food items made from milk like cream, ice cream. Similarly, we can get fats from ghee, butter and different kinds of oils like coconut oil, groundnut oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, mustard oil, cheese, and French fries. Students are usually very fond of eating French fries. French fries give us a lot of fats along with carbohydrates. Similarly, nuts, peanut butter, egg yolk, all these things are rich sources of fats. How can we test the presence of fats in the given food item? Very simple experiment. Take the given food item, wrap it in a dry paper and crush it. If you get filter paper, well and good. If you don't get filter paper, you can take any dry paper. Wrap the food item in this dry paper and crush it. And now remove the food particles. Straighten the paper and hold it against the light. If a translucent mark or oily patch appears on the paper, then it indicates the presence of fats. Let's have a look at the diagram of this experiment for better understanding. Take a dry paper and wrap the given food item in this dry paper. For example, if you have some groundnut seeds, you can have the groundnut seeds wrap in this paper and coarsely crush the groundnut seeds here. And then remove the seeds from here and straighten the paper and hold this paper against the light. If this kind of translucent mark or oily patch appears on the paper, it means the given food item contains fats in it, because translucent mark or oily patch indicates the presence of fats. So this way we can test the given food item for the presence of fats in it. That is all about carbohydrates and fats, which are also known as energy giving foods. Let's move on to the next nutrient now. Proteins. Proteins are required for growth and repair of our body. So all the food items containing proteins are often called bodybuilding foods. That is, the foods which help in bodybuilding. Which foods give us proteins? Let's have a discussion about the sources of proteins now. What are the sources of proteins? We can get proteins from different food items like meat, fish, chicken, eggs, different kinds of pulses, different kind of beans like black beans, kidney beans, soya beans. Soya beans are very rich in proteins. These are one of the main sources of proteins. Then milk and milk products like yogurt, cheese. Similarly, tofu, which is made from soya milk, and nuts also. So all these food items are good sources of proteins. How can we test a given food item for the presence of proteins in it? Follow this procedure. First step is crush some bean seeds in a mortar and pestle. Soya beans are very rich sources of proteins. We can take some soya bean seeds and we crush these seeds in mortar and pestle and add little water and make a suspension using water. Take a small part of this suspension in a test tube and add a few drops of concentrated nitric acid to it. If its color changes to yellow, that means proteins are present, because yellow color indicates the presence of proteins. Let's have a look at the experimental setup for this test for better understanding. See this diagram. This is known as mortar and pestle, which is used to crush the things. So we take some soybean seeds in it and crush the soybean seeds. We take a very little water and crush it so that we can make a suspension out of it. Then take a small amount of this suspension in a test tube. Fine. Now we'll add some concentrated nitric acid in this test tube using a dropper. Always perform this experiment under the supervision of your elders, because concentrated nitric acid is to be poured very carefully. Then notice the color. If color changes to yellow, it means proteins are present. So now we have discussed about carbohydrates, fats and proteins. Let's move on to the next nutrient, which are known as vitamins. What is the role of vitamins in our body? Vitamins help in protecting our body against various diseases, because vitamins help in strengthening our immune system. So this way they protect us from various diseases. Different vitamins are known by different names. What are these names? We are going to discuss in the next part of this chapter. But as we have already discussed that most food items usually contain more than one nutrient. So if one food item is giving us fats, maybe giving us some vitamin also. Or if one food item is giving us one vitamin, it may be giving us another mineral or some other vitamin also. So this way all food items give us a combination of nutrients. We get more than one nutrient from any food item. That is all about second part of this chapter. In the next part of this chapter, we are going to discuss about vitamins and minerals in detail. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.